Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Swiss. Coming off a Green Tuesday night. I only posted 2 bets, one the Pelicans, the other one was a push. Unfortunately, a few hours after I posted the bet, the total dropped in that Hornets game. So a lot of people were able to get to 204, but if you missed it by a few hours, you got hooked there. A lot of people were stuck with 203.5. So sorry about that. But yeah, 1-0-1 on the night. So we're looking on to Wednesday here, and I think we got 8 games on the board, and there's actually a couple really good ones here. So yeah, let's take a look.
Welcome to the Swiss. The Swiss. Swiss. Hey, get the Swiss.
We'll start out with Indiana on the road in Detroit. Pistons catching 9.5 points at home, total sitting at 232.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 2-point Pacers win. Final score 114-112 Indiana. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with the Pacers. McDermott is on the report. He's listed as questionable. Other than that, Pacers look like they're going to be good to go here. On the Detroit side, Taj Gibson questionable, Fontecchio questionable, Quentin Grimes has been ruled out for this game. Isaiah Stewart has been ruled out for this game, and Ashara Thompson has also been ruled out for this game. So Pistons a little banged up here. Betting trends on the Indiana side, 3 in a row on the road, 3-0 against the spread in their last 3 on the road, 6-5 against the spread as road favorites. On the Detroit side, 5-3 against the spread in their last 8, 12-5 against the spread in their last 17 at home, 14-13-1 against the spread as home dogs. So trends on the Detroit side look pretty good as well. This particular head-to-head matchup, Pacers are 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 meetings against the Pistons, but they're just 4-8 against the spread in their last 12 trips to Detroit. So they've done a lot better against the Pistons at home in Indianapolis. Pacers have been trending heavily towards unders. Pacers are 4-13 to the under in their last 17, 4-19 to the under in their last 23 on the road. Detroit also trending towards unders. 5 straight unders for the Pistons, 0-5 to the under in their last 5, 3-11 to the under in their last 14 at home. This particular head-to-head matchup, though, 6-2 to the over in their last 8 meetings, 2-7 to the under in their last 9 meetings in Detroit. So conflicting ones there. So let's match these 2 teams up on the court. We'll start with some net efficiency numbers here. The Pacers have been a better basketball team than the Pistons. You don't need an expert to tell you that. And overall efficiency in the last 10 games, we're looking at 13th to 25th. And then if you look at the strength of schedule, Pacers are 4th in the last 10, Pistons 18th. So the Pacers have been playing better basketball against a much stronger schedule. Now, before we switch graphics up, take a look at the pace numbers here. In the last 10 games, Indiana 6th in pace, Detroit 5th. So these 2 teams running 2 of the faster paces in the NBA right now. That is not good news for Detroit. On the season, the Pistons are just 2-9 against the spread against teams in the top 5 of pace. So when the Pistons play these teams that run an extremely fast pace, they usually do not perform well. Pacers, on the other hand, when they play a team that runs the fast pace, 14-6-1. That's their record against the spread against teams top 10 in pace. So the fact that this game's going to be played at a fast pace, extreme advantage for Indiana. Matchup for the Pacers offense. Actually, if you look at these numbers from the last 10 games, these 2 units aren't that far apart. But again, these are numbers from the last 10 games, and we just established Pacers have played a much stronger schedule. So these numbers are going to be skewed in favor of Detroit. The only number here that would concern me for the Pacers is the Pistons' defensive rebounding. They're 2nd in the last 10 games, so probably not going to be second chance opportunities for the Pacers here. Obviously, we need to take a look at some numbers in transition. We're talking about the Indiana Pacers here. On the season, they're 3rd in fast break frequency, 11th in efficiency. They're 4th in the NBA in points per game in transition. But thankfully for Detroit, Pistons have actually done a pretty solid job defending the fast break. 7th in frequency, 19th in efficiency. They're 10th in points per game allowed in transition in the NBA. So Pistons have a pretty solid fast break defense here. Shot zones for the Pacers offense, we're going straight to the rim here. In the last 10 games, they're actually 1st, the Pacers. So no team in the NBA has attacked the basket more frequently than the Pacers. That's bad news for Detroit because they are dead last in defensive efficiency at the basket in the last 10 games. And check this out. On the season, the Pistons against teams that are top 5 in rim frequency. So when the Pistons have seen teams that attack the rim at a high rate on the year, 0-15 straight up, 4-10-1 against the spread. So that's a huge lean towards Indiana. That's a real nice angle for the Pacers. The Pistons are 3rd in frequency down there, so they've done a pretty good job at limiting attempts, but numbers don't lie. I mean, when Detroit sees teams that attack the rim a lot, they do not perform well. The good news for the Pistons defense comes out at the 3-point line. what Detroit does is flood the middle and force you to take 3-point shots. Unfortunately, opponents always hit them against the Pistons. They're just 27th in efficiency, but the Pacers have not been a good 3-point shooting team. In the last 10 games, 28th in frequency, 27th in efficiency from above the break. So Pacers not really equipped to give the Pistons problems from out there. And check this out. On the season, when Indiana plays teams in the bottom 10 of above the break 3 frequency, so basically when they see defenses that force you to take a lot of 3-point shots, they're just 9-12 against the spread. So if the Pistons are able to keep the Pacers away from the basket and force them to take 3-point shots, they actually might have some success here and there, but it's a big if. On the other side of the ball, we got the Pistons offense. Pacers defense definitely has the comfortable advantage here. And remember, this is without strength of schedule incorporated. Keep in mind, these are numbers from the last 10. Pacers have played the much stronger schedule, but still EFG 13th to 28th in the last 10. Rebounding goes to the Pacers. Turnover goes to the Pacers. The only number here that tilts towards Detroit, free throw rate, 6th to 29th. So on paper, the Pistons should get plenty of trips to the foul line. But check this out. On the season, Detroit against bottom 5 defenses in free throw rate. So when the Pistons see teams that foul a lot, they're just 3-7 against the spread. So I don't even know if we can call that an angle. Shot zones for the Pistons offense. I mean, there's really not much here. You can look at that short mid-range shot. They're 4th in frequency, 15th in efficiency from there in the last 10. So the Pistons have been decent shooting that shot, and the Pacers actually struggle to defend that shot, so that's something. But as a whole, I really don't like the matchup for the Pistons offense. And really, as far as betting this game, there's just not enough for me to get to Detroit. As much as I'd love to take a home team catching 9.5, there's just no way I could do it. Not to mention, the last 2 times Indiana went on the road, they beat Oklahoma City by 10, then they beat Orlando by 14. So the last 2 times Pacers went on the road, they beat 2 very good teams by double digits. So it's not crazy to say Indiana clears the Pistons by more than 10. I'm on Indiana minus 9.5. I haven't bet it yet, but I'm still deciding, but definitely would be Pacers or pass for me next game. Miami on the road in Cleveland. We got the Cavs laying 2.5 points at home. The total sitting at 203. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see a 2-point Miami win. Final score 108-106 Heat. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Miami. Jimmy Butler still on the report listed as questionable. He missed the last 2 games for the Heat. Jovic is also on the report. He's listed as questionable. Tyler Hero is out. Kevin Love is out. Duncan Robinson is also out for the Heat. But on the Cleveland side, they're also really banged up. No Donovan Mitchell, no Evan Mobley, no Max Strus, and no Dean Wade. So Cleveland dealing with all kinds of injuries right now. Before we get into this one, we need to mention that this is not a great spot for the Heat. I mean, this is their final game of a 4-game, 6-day road trip. So this will be their 4th road game in 6 days. I mean, they've lost 5 straight games against teams not named the Detroit Pistons. Things just don't look great for the Heat, and this team's not the best part of the schedule for the Heat right now. Betting trends for Miami, just 2-7 against the spread in their last 9, 2-3 against the spread in their last 5 on the road. On the Cleveland side, you got 4-2 against the spread in their last 6, 3-1 against the spread in their last 4 at home. So things may be turning around for Cleveland. Miami been trending towards the under pretty heavily here, 7 straight unders for the Heat. And check this out, 2-19 to the under in their last 21 road games. So unders on the road for the Heat have been money. On the Cleveland side, though, they've been trending towards overs. 4-2 to the over in their last 6, 8-3 to the over in their last 11 at home. This particular head-to-head matchup has gone under, though. 3-6 to the under in their last 9 meetings, 1-3 to the under in their last 4 meetings in Cleveland. So let's match these 2 teams up on the court. We'll start with some net efficiency numbers here. In the last 10 games, these 2 teams pretty close. Miami 20th, Cleveland 19th. But here's the thing, look at the strength of schedule. Miami 26th, Cleveland 10th. So yeah, they're playing similar basketball as far as raw data goes. Cleveland's doing it against a much stronger schedule. Look at the pace from these 2 teams in the last 10 games. Miami 26th, Cleveland 25th. So both these teams running slow paces, not a great sign for Miami. On the season, the Heat are just 10-15-1 against the spread against the bottom 10 teams in pace. When we look at the matchup for Miami's offense, I mean, it's pretty clear Cleveland's defense has the edge on this side. I mean, keep in mind, these are numbers from the last 10. Cavs have played the stronger schedule as well. And still, EFG 8th to 25th in the last 10. Rebounding edge goes to Cleveland. Free throw rate goes to Cleveland. And free throw rate is a big one. Miami just 8-12 against the spread against the top 10 defenses in free throw rate. Turnovers go to Miami, though. So Miami should be able to protect the basketball in this one. Other than that, pretty clear-cut edge for the Cavs defense. Shot zones for the Heat offense. Obviously, we got to take a look at that short mid-range shot. Miami loves that shot. In the last 10 games, they're 2nd in frequency, 18th in efficiency. That plays into the strength of Cleveland's defense. They're pretty much strong everywhere 12 feet and in, whether it's the short mid-range shot or at the rim. In the last 10 games, they're 10th in frequency, 13th in efficiency, so maybe not quite as elite as they have been all year, but this is still a solid interior defense in Cleveland. On the other side of the ball, though, when we look at the matchup for Cleveland's offense, this is where you could start to find some value on the Heat. You can see rebounding on this side, 5th to 23rd. Cleveland on the season, just 6-8-1 against the spread against top 5 teams in defensive rebounding. So if you keep Cleveland off the offensive glass, you can usually beat them, or at least they don't cover at a good rate. Another positive angle for Miami's defense. Fast break probably not going to be there for Cleveland, and that's huge because they've been very efficient running the fast break. They're 3rd in fast break efficiency on the season, but with no Donovan Mitchell, who's one of the leaders in the NBA in transition points per game, and they're playing the Miami Heat, who have been excellent stopping the fast break. On the season, they're 6th in frequency, 4th in efficiency. They're 2nd in the NBA in points per game allowed in transition. So I don't expect the Cavs to be able to do anything in transition in this one. Some more bad news for Cleveland's offense. They've been attacking the rim a lot. In the last 10 games, 8th in frequency, 28th in efficiency. So really struggling to convert down there, but they're taking a lot. The reason that's bad news is Miami's defense has been pretty elite protecting the basket for a few months now. In the last 10 games, 6th in frequency, 3rd in efficiency. The only positive angle I can find here for Cleveland's offense is three-point shooting. They do take a lot of them. In the last 10 games, they're 2nd in frequency from above the break, 5th in frequency from the corner, and Miami's been just okay defending the three-point shot. I think they're like 16th and 18th, somewhere in there in the last 10. There's no Donovan Mitchell. There's no Max Strus. There's no Dean Wade. Now, I'm not saying nobody else on the Cavs roster can shoot the three. They do have other guys, but that's a huge chunk of their three-point shooting missing from the roster, which is why I can't do it with Cleveland. I really want to bet the Heat here, but here's the thing. Both of these teams bit me in the ass recently. I bet Miami against the Sixers, lost that bet. And in Cleveland's last game, I didn't bet it, but on the show, I said I was leaning towards Pacers -6.5. Cavs won outright. So I was wrong on both of these teams' last games, betting the Heat and fading the Cavs. Do I really want to bet the Heat and fade the Cavs again? Not really, but I think Miami's the side to be on. So I'm going to say Heat or pass. Next game. Milwaukee on the road in Boston. Celtics laying 8 points at home, total sitting at 223. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see a 7-point Celtics win. Final score 119-112 Celtics. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with the Bucks. Giannis is on the report. Giannis is listed as questionable as of right now. Nobody else on the report, though, for the Bucks. On the Celtics side, we got Drew Holiday questionable, Jaylen Brown questionable, Sam Hauser questionable. So definitely a lot of question marks in this game. We'll have to keep an eye out. Before we get into this one, we need to point out that this is a very favorable matchup for Milwaukee. Bucks are coming into this one 2 days rest, so they're rested. On 2 days rest on the season, they're 9-3 straight up. And on 2 or 3 days rest, they're 7-6 against the spread, which obviously isn't great, but the Bucks are rested. That's what we need to know. Just the 3rd game for Milwaukee in the last 7 games. So Milwaukee should be really rested. Meanwhile, on the Boston side, Celtics are playing their 3rd game in 4 days, and they're dealing with some injuries. So I'd say definitely a favorable spot for the Bucks. Betting trends for Milwaukee. Bucks are 9-3 against the spread in their last 12. Just 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 on the road, though. 2-6 against the spread as road dogs, so that isn't great. On the Boston side, these trends are pretty excellent. 12-2-1 against the spread in their last 15. 6 in a row at home. 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 at home. This particular head-to-head matchup has been all Boston. Milwaukee is just 4-17 against the spread in their last 21 meetings with the Celtics. Just 2-7 against the spread in their last 9 trips to Boston. Both of these teams have been trending towards unders. Milwaukee 5-17 to the under in their last 22. 4-15 to the under in their last 19 on the road. Boston 4-7-1 to the under in their last 12. 2-4 to the under in their last 6 at home. Check this out, though. This particular head-to-head matchup has been all overs. These two, when they meet, 11-3 to the over in their last 14, 9-4-1 to the over in their last 14 in Boston. So let's start out with some net efficiency numbers here. Obviously, Boston's been better. Boston's been the best team in the NBA. They're 1st in overall efficiency in the last 10 games. Milwaukee back at 11th. You can point at strength of schedule. Milwaukee up at 14th, Boston at 23rd. So you can say the Bucks have played a stronger schedule, but still, there's not going to be many angles that could help you make the argument that the Bucks have been better than Boston. Let's take a look at the matchup for Milwaukee's offense. Celtics defense definitely has the rebounding edge, but Milwaukee's got the turnover edge, so that's kind of a wash there as far as number of possessions. That being said, Milwaukee weirdly just 5-13 against the spread against the bottom 10 defenses in forced turnover rate. So against these defenses that don't rely on forcing turnovers, Milwaukee just 5-13 against the number. A positive for the Bucks offense though would be their ability to get to the free throw line. In the last 10 games, they're third. Boston's defense is second, but actually the Bucks have done well in these types of matchups. They're 7-4-1 against the spread on the year against top 5 defenses in free throw rate. So they've done well in these types of matchups. We also know Milwaukee's offense likes to get out in transition. On the season, they're 13th in frequency, 7th in efficiency. They're 11th in the NBA in points per game in transition. Boston, number 1, first in defensive efficiency against the fast break. That being said, Celtics just 6-9 against the number against top 5 fast breaks in efficiency. So, I mean, the Bucks are pretty efficient with the fast break, so Boston struggled with these a little bit. When we pull up shot zones for the Bucks offense, you would think that this would be a perfect matchup for Giannis, a Celtics team that's all of a sudden struggling to protect the rim. In the last 10 games, 18th in efficiency, 15th in efficiency against a short mid-range shot. You would think that's a beautiful matchup for Giannis, but the thing is, this Bucks team just doesn't attack the rim. They're 26th in frequency at the rim, 27th in frequency at the paint over the last 10 games, and that is beautiful for Boston because on the season, the Celtics are 15-4-3 against the spread versus offenses in the bottom 10 of rim frequency. So when Boston plays these offenses that don't attack the rim, they do very well. Does Milwaukee expect to go on the road in Boston and win shooting the 3 ball? I mean, because that's what they've been doing. In the last 10 games, they're 3rd in frequency from above the break, 3rd from the corner. Look at the Celtics defense against a 3-point shot in the last 10 games. 2nd above the break, 8th against the corner. So I really don't like that matchup at all for the Bucks offense. And then you add on the fact that Milwaukee's coming into this game off of one of their best 3-point shooting nights of the season. They were 24 of 41 against the Suns on Sunday afternoon, 58.5% from 3. You would think regression's going to hit them going on the road in Boston. There's no way that happens again. So I actually think the Bucks are going to struggle to get the outside shot working. On the other side of the ball, we got the Celtics offense, and I mean, it's pretty clear that this is a mismatch in favor of Boston. EFG in the last 10, 2nd to 26th. Look at the turnover numbers, 1st to 23rd. There are a couple positives here for the Bucks defense. Rebounding. Bucks are 1st in defensive rebounding in the last 10 games. Celtics offense back at 6th. But here's the thing. Bucks are just 7-16-1 against the spread against top 10 offenses in offensive rebounding. And Boston, 7-4-1 against the spread against top 5 defensive rebounding teams. So it looks like the Bucks have this nice little mismatch here in rebounding, but according to what has happened so far this season, that actually favors Boston. And then look at free throw rate here. Another one that looks like a huge mismatch for the Bucks defense. 4th in the last 10 games in defensive free throw rate compared to dead last, 30th for the Celtics. But Boston on the season, 14-8-1 against the spread against top 10 defenses in free throw rate. So Boston's had no problem with these types of matchups. And then we pull up shot zones for the Celtics offense, and the mismatches don't get bigger than this. In the last 10 games, Boston is 1st in frequency from above the break, 1st in efficiency. So they're taking the most above the break threes and they're hitting them at the highest rate. Look at Milwaukee's defense against that zone. 27th and 29th. Bucks are getting cooked from out there. Boston on the season, 8-3 against the spread against bottom 5 defenses and above the break efficiency. 5-2 against the spread against bottom 5 defenses and above the break frequency. This is bad. This is a bad matchup for the Bucks here, which is why I'm definitely leaning towards Boston here. I actually haven't bet this one yet, though, because if Holiday and Jaylen Brown are ruled out, we can probably get the Celtics at a much better number. So I'm probably going to end up with money on Boston in this one. I just don't have anything down right now. I'll let you know on the live show tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time, next game. Sacramento on the road in Toronto. We got the Raps catching 9.5 points at home, total sitting at 232. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 4-point Kings win. Final score, 114-110 Sacramento. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Sacramento. Kevin Huerter has been ruled out for this game. So has Trey Lyles. So Kings missing a couple pieces here. Vezenkov might be back, though. He's been out for a while. He's listed as questionable. I'm not sure if he actually came back, but he was out for a couple months. On the Toronto side, this is a crime scene. Scotty Barnes still out. RJ Barrett still out. Boucher still out. DJ Carlton still out. Jakob Poeltl out. Emmanuel Quickley out. The Raptors are looking terrible. I mean, they're looking like one of those teams that in the second half of the season aren't even rushing their guys back. because they're in punt mode. Before we get into this one, we need to point out that the Raptors are rested. They're coming into this one on 2 days rest. On the season, they're just 4-4 straight up on 2 days rest, and they're 5-5 against the spread with 2 or 3 days rest. So really doesn't give us much. The Raptors are rested, but they've been just okay when rested this year. Betting trends for Sacramento. Kings are just 2-4 against the number in their last 6, 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 on the road, 8-6-1 against the spread as road favorites. On the Toronto side, these are some ugly looking trends here. Just 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 overall, 3-10 against the spread in their last 13 at home, 5-11 against the spread as home dogs. This particular head-to-head matchup, Kings are just 4-7-2 against the spread in their last 13 meetings against the Raps, 3-1 against the spread in their last 4 trips up to Toronto, though, so they've done well up here when they've traveled to Toronto. Kings have been trending towards unders, 1-4 to the under in their last 5, but they're 6-3-1 to the over in their last 10 on the road. Raptors have definitely been trending towards unders, 0-3 to the under in their last 3, 3-12 to the under in their last 15 on the road. And this particular head-to-head matchup, all overs. 7-2 to the over in the last 9 meetings, 4-0 to the over in the last 4 meetings in Toronto. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with some net efficiency numbers here, and it's not even close. Kings are 6th in overall efficiency compared to 30th, dead last for the Raptors. And look at strength of schedule. We're talking about this is for the last 10 games. Look at strength of schedule. Kings 8th. Raptors 20th. So the Kings have been much, much better than the Raptors, and they're doing that against a stronger schedule. Also, before we switch the graphic up, I want to point out the pace numbers here. In the last 10 games, Kings are 13th in pace, Raptors 1st. Check this out. On the season, the Kings are 16-8-1 against the spread against top 10 teams in pace. So the fact that the Raps are coming into this game looking to run a fast pace, it actually favors Sacramento. Let's take a look at the matchup for the Kings offense, and these numbers maybe not quite as one-sided as we expected. I mean, EFG 16th to 29th. Offensive rebounding, huge discrepancy here, 5th to 24th. And keep in mind, these are the last 10 games. Kings have played a much stronger schedule. That being said, I'm worried about the turnover numbers here. In the last 10 games, Toronto's defense 8th in forced turnover rate, Kings offense 17th. The reason that concerns me, on the season, the Kings are 7-16 against the spread against top 10 defenses in forced turnover rate. So when the Kings have seen these defenses that are able to create turnovers, they've really struggled. And I actually have some more bad news for the Kings offense here. As we know, Sacramento likes to get out in transition and run the fast break. On the season, they're 5th in frequency, 15th in efficiency. And while the Raptors have struggled in efficiency, they're back at 26th, they're actually 4th in frequency, meaning they don't allow their opponents to get out in the fast break very often. The reason I bring that up, Sacramento just 1-4 against the spread against top 5 defenses in transition frequency. So against defenses that limit their ability to get out in the fast break, they've struggled. Not much here as far as shot zones for the Kings offense. I mean, we can pull up the mid-range shooting numbers. Taken a lot of mid-range shots recently, 3rd and 8th in frequency in the last 10 from the short and long mid-range shot. Raptors defense 18th and 21st. So, I mean, Kings offense, as far as shooting wise, they should be able to get to their spots and score. But as a whole, it's not a glaring mismatch, not as much as you'd think it'd be. Now, on the other side of the ball, though, when we take a look at the matchup for the Raptors offense, this is where you definitely find angles for the Kings. EFG in the last 10, 15th to 24th. Look at the rebounding discrepancy on this side. I mean, 3rd to 27th. Toronto should not have many opportunities as far as second chance points, especially with no Jakob Poeltl. They've really missed having him out there. Here's the thing on this side. This looks like a really huge mismatch for the Kings defense, right? On the season, the Sacramento Kings are just 5-15 against the spread against bottom 10 offenses and overall efficiency. So against bad offenses, Kings do not cover. And that's kind of been the story with the Kings, right? I mean, when they're underdogs, when they play their good teams, that's when you could bet them. But when they play these bad teams, these bad offenses, they just don't win by margin. So this mismatch doesn't really even scare me off a Raptors bet, honestly. Here's a huge angle for the Kings, though. So if you're looking to lay the points with Sacramento in this one, I do have something for you here. In the last 10 games, Toronto 6th in frequency, 7th in efficiency attacking the basket. So attacking the rim's been a huge part of the Raptors offense. Kings defense, 2nd in frequency, 20th in efficiency. Not overly crazy numbers protecting the rim, but check this out. On the season, Sacramento 15-5-1 against the spread against top 10 offenses in rim efficiency. So these offenses that rely on scoring at the basket, that's when you bet the Kings. They've been good against those types of offenses. That's why they always give the Lakers problems. As far as betting this game, I mean, as much as I'd love to do it with the Raps and take the points here, I actually think the Kings are going to cover. I mean, I have no interest in laying a big number with the Kings. The fact that they're on the road makes me a little more comfortable. It's really at home laying the points when I can't do it, but I don't think I could do it here either. So I'll say Kings minus 9.5 or pass. I'll let you know on the live show if I actually pull the trigger next game. Utah on the road in Oklahoma City. We got the Thunder laying 14 or 14.5 or 15, depending on your sports book. Total sitting at 233.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see an 8-point Thunder win. Final score 120-112 OKC. Injuries and inactives on the Utah side. John Collins listed as questionable for this game. Lauri Markkanen's been ruled out, and Jordan Clarkson's been ruled out. So Utah definitely missing some pieces here. On the Oklahoma side, we got nothing. Nobody on the injury report for the Thunder at this time. Before we get into this one, we need to take note that the Thunder are very rested right now. They're coming into this game on 3 full days rest. That being said, Oklahoma City just 6-1 against the spread with 2 or 3 days rest. So they haven't been overly profitable when rested. Obviously, it's a positive for the Thunder that they're rested, but as far as earnings on the year, it's a break even. Betting trends on the Utah side, Jazz are just 1-4 against the number in their last 5, 1-6 against the number in their last 7 on the road, 11-17 against the number as road dogs. So some ugly looking trends there for the Jazz. But you know what? Trends aren't looking great on the Oklahoma City side either. Thunder just 1-6 against the spread in their last 7, 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 at home. They are 19-10 against the spread as home favorites, though. So this has been a favorable spot for them. But just the Thunder have not been covering the number recently. This particular head-to-head matchup has been all Oklahoma City. Utah just 5-18 against the spread in their last 23 meetings against OKC. Just 4-14 against the spread in their last 18 trips to OKC. Utah has definitely been trending towards overs. Jazz 5-2-1 to the over in their last 8. 8-4 to the over in their last 12 on the road, so mostly overs for the Jazz. Oklahoma City, though, 1-4 to the under in their last 5 home games. This particular matchup, all overs. 5-1 to the over in the last 6 meetings between these two. 7-3 to the over in their last 10 meetings in Oklahoma City. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with some net efficiency numbers. Obviously, Oklahoma City is playing much better basketball than Utah. That goes without saying. 7th to 28th. That's where the efficiency numbers are at in the last 10 games. That being said, look at the strength of schedule numbers here. Oklahoma City, 25th in the last 10 games. Utah's up at 5th, so that's something to take note of. In the last 10 games, the Jazz have played a much stronger schedule than the Thunder have. And take a look at the pace numbers here. Jazz, 12th in pace in the last 10 games. Oklahoma City up at 4th. So the Thunder, top 5 in pace in the last 10 games. On the season, Jazz are 7-4 against the spread against teams in the top 5 of pace. So if Oklahoma City comes out trying to run a fast pace like they almost always do, that might favor Utah. So let's take a look at the matchup for Utah's offense, and these numbers might surprise you. Oklahoma City's defense has really fallen off, man, and they played an easy schedule. We just pointed out they're like 25th in strength of schedule in their last 10. How are they 25th in efficient field goal percentage? You mean to tell me Oklahoma City's defense is struggling against bad teams? I mean, EFG 18th to 25th. I'm not saying the Jazz have the edge on this side of the court. I'm just saying this isn't really a glaring mismatch. We're talking about a 15-point spread. Not really seeing it in these numbers here. I will say turnovers could be a problem for the Jazz. In the last 10 games, Utah 21st in turnover rate. Oklahoma City's defense 4th. Oklahoma City on the season 19-8-1 against the spread against bottom 10 offenses in turnover rate. So these offenses that struggle to protect the basketball, Oklahoma City eats on them. Also, look at the defensive rebounding numbers for Oklahoma City. We do have to give them props in one category. They've been much better on the glass, which has not been the case for OKC this season. But recently, they've been good on the defensive glass, which is huge in this matchup because Utah's a very good rebounding team. Oklahoma City on the season, 17-8 against the spread against top 10 teams in offensive rebounding rate. So another positive for the Thunder. Another thing about this Jazz offense, we know they like to get out in transition. On the season, they're 12th in fast break frequency. Good luck trying to get that on the road at OKC here. Thunder might have the best fast break defense in the NBA. On the season, 3rd in frequency, 2nd in efficiency. They actually lead the league in points per game allowed in transition. So this might be the best fast break defense in the league. As far as shot zones for the Jazz offense, check out the short mid-range shot here. Utah 1st in frequency, 10th in efficiency. They're putting up Miami Heat numbers from this short mid-range zone. The reason I bring that up, Oklahoma City's defense back at 17th in efficiency against that shot. And if you switch it to the last 5 games, back at 19th, 22nd in frequency. So Oklahoma City's been struggling with those short little jumpers. Now, on the other side of the court, we got OKC's offense against the Jazz defense. And obviously, this is a mismatch in favor of Oklahoma City. I mean, you already know that. That being said, OKC on the season just 11-11 against the spread against bottom 10 defenses and overall efficiency. So they might be a little bit overvalued against these bad defenses. It's kind of like the Sacramento Kings are. Oklahoma City hasn't really been beaten up on the bad defenses like that. They covered a 50% rate. You could see here in the last 10 games, 10th in EFG to 30th for Utah's defense. Oklahoma City also has the huge turnover edge. Utah does have the rebounding advantage and the free throw rate advantage. And keep in mind, when we're looking at these numbers from the last 10 games, Utah's played the much stronger schedule. So these numbers might be skewed in favor of Oklahoma City a bit. Now we're going to talk about Oklahoma City's numbers in transition. And this is where this handicap gets weird. Check this out. So obviously, Utah's been terrible defending the fast break this year. They're 30th in frequency, 21st in efficiency, dead last in points per game allowed in transition. This is one of the worst fast break defenses in the NBA, and Golden State loves to run the fast break. They're second in frequency, 12th in efficiency, second in the NBA in points per game in transition. So this is a huge mismatch for the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? Well, actually on the season, check this out. The Utah Jazz are 8-3 straight up, 8-3 against the spread against top 5 offenses in fast break frequency. So against these offenses that run the fast break as much as Oklahoma City does, the Jazz have an excellent cover rate, which is crazy. Shot zones for Oklahoma City's offense, I mean, this is tough. They change what they're doing offensively every week. In the last 5 games, now they're taking jump shots again. In the last 5 games, they're 4th in frequency from above the break, 4th in frequency from the long mid-range. I mean, I guess that's a good thing because Utah has terrible numbers guarding jump shooters, as we know, probably the worst three-point defense in the NBA. It's just tough to really give Oklahoma City's offense an identity because a month ago, they were attacking the rim. 2 months ago, they were relying on jump shots. Early in the season, they were attacking the rim. So it just keeps changing. As far as betting this game, I mean, I'll tell you straight up, there's no way I'd lay 15 points with Oklahoma City. No way at all. I don't know if I could really place a Utah Jazz bet right now. I lost 2 in a row on the Jazz. I don't think I can actually do it, but that's what I want to do. I want to be on Utah plus 15. Maybe I'm going to make a couple phone calls. Maybe if I can find somebody to co-sign that bet, I'll place it, but as of right now, it's Utah or pass. Next game. Memphis on the road in Golden State. We got the Warriors laying 10.5 points at home. The total sitting at 218.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see a 4-point Warriors win. Final score 113-109 Golden State. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Memphis and brace yourself. So Salty Aldama is questionable. Vince Williams, doubtful. Brandon Clark, out. Luke Kennard, out. Scottie Pippen, out. Derrick Rose, out. I think he just retired, actually. Marcus Smart, out. Lamar Stevens, out. Watanabe, out. Zaire Williams, out. So that's the injury report for Memphis. On the Golden State side, we got Draymond Green on the report. Draymond Green is listed as questionable. So is Moses Moody. So a couple question marks on Golden State. Memphis absolutely decimated as usual. Betting trends on the Memphis side are looking pretty good. Memphis 3-1 against the spread in their last 4, 11-5 against the spread in their last 16 on the road, 17-11 against the spread as road dogs. So nice looking trends there. Golden State, just 2-4 against the spread in their last 6, just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 at home, and on the season, just 10-18 against the spread as home favorites. This particular head-to-head matchup, Memphis 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 meetings against the Warriors, just 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 trips to Golden State, though. Both of these teams have been trending towards overs recently. 3 overs in a row for the Grizzlies, 3-0 in their last 3, 7-1 to the over in their last 8 on the road. Golden State 4-2 to the over in their last 6, 3-0 to the over in their last 3 on the road. That being said, this particular head-to-head matchup has gone under. 2-5 to the under in their last 7 meetings, 0-4 to the under in their last 4 meetings in Golden State. So let's match these teams up on the court. We'll start with some net efficiency numbers. Golden State sitting at 17th in the last 10 games, Memphis at 27th. So Golden State has been the better team, but not overwhelmingly. But strength of schedule, that goes to Golden State as well. 16th in the last 10 compared to 27th for Memphis. So Memphis is playing bad basketball against a bad schedule. When we take a look at the matchup for Memphis offensively, edge goes to the Warriors on this side. EFG in the last 10, 19th to 30th. Memphis does have the rebounding edge, 2nd to 15th. But then turnovers goes back to Golden State. Warriors not usually a defense that can create turnovers, but Memphis just cannot protect the basketball. And then we get to free throw rate. Look at the free throw rate numbers here. Memphis offensively 2nd in the last 10 games. Golden State at 8th. So this Memphis team has been getting to the foul line, That being said, Golden State on the season is 14-9 against the spread against top 10 offenses in free throw rate. So against offenses that rely on getting to the line, Warriors have been very profitable. Another positive angle for Golden State's defense is the fast break. And I know you're probably thinking, the fast break, Golden State's terrible against the fast break. That's true. On the season, they're 23rd in frequency, 25th in efficiency, but this Memphis offense is in no position to take advantage of that. 21st in frequency, 28th in efficiency, and Golden State on the season, 6-3 against the spread against bottom 5 offenses in transition efficiency. So when the Warriors see these offenses that can't run the fast break, they usually are profitable. Shot zones for the Memphis offense, I mean, they're pretty balanced. Frequency numbers at the rim and in the paint, 9th and 10th, so they attack the interior a lot. Golden State's been great at limiting opponent shot attempts at the rim. In fact, they're 13-8 against the spread against top 10 offenses in rim frequency, so that probably favors the Warriors as well. I will say Memphis also shoots the above the break 3 a lot. They're 10th in frequency in the last 10. Golden State has struggled against that shot. So that is one positive angle for Memphis offense, the 3-point shot. On the other side of the ball, we got Golden State's offense. And I mean, based on these numbers, you'd probably have to give the edge to Memphis defense here. Turnovers, 5th to 15th. Turnovers have been a problem for the Warriors offense for years. Now, keep in mind, these are numbers from the last 10 games. And not only have the Warriors played a stronger schedule, they were also missing Steph Curry for a few. So the offense specifically is going to be affected here. That being said, Golden State, 4th in offensive rebounding rate. So the Warriors have been very active on the offensive glass. Memphis defense back at 29th. On the season, the Grizzlies just 5-8 against the spread against top 5 offenses in offensive rebounding rate. Fast break numbers on this side, even more positive angles for Golden State. On the season, Memphis defense 26th in frequency. Warriors offense has no fast break. They're 29th in frequency, 27th in efficiency. But check this out. Warriors 8-3 against the spread against bottom 5 defenses in transition frequency. So these defenses that allow a lot of fast break opportunities, Golden State's taking advantage of that. And Memphis 3-11 against the spread against bottom 5 offenses in transition frequency. So it's just positive angles for Golden State left and right here. And here is the icing on the cake for me. This is what actually made me place this bet. Spoiler alert, I'm on Golden State. Above the break 3. As we know, Golden State, especially with Steph back in the lineup, they shoot a ton of these shots. Memphis defense in the last 10 games against the above the break 3, 26th and 20th. Golden State on the season, 11-6 against the spread against bottom 10 defenses and above the break frequency. So these defenses that let you get those shots off, Golden State's very profitable, which is why I'm on the Warriors. I got a -10 on FanDuel at -108, so I'm already in. Give me Golden State next game. Philadelphia on the road in Phoenix here. We got the Suns laying 8.5 points at home. Total sitting at 221. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 3-point Suns win. Final score 111-108 Phoenix. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Philadelphia. Tobias Harris listed as questionable for the Sixers. Other than that, pretty much the same 3 names that have been on there. Still no Joel Embiid. Still no DeAnthony Melton. Still no Robert Covington. On the Phoenix side, Bol is on the report. He's listed as probable, though. Okogie is out. He's going to miss another one. Before we get into this one, we need to point out that Phoenix is coming into this game rested. 2 days rest for the Suns. That being said, on the season, the Suns are just 6-7 straight up with 2 days rest. And check this out. With 2 or 3 days rest, the Suns are 5-9-1 against the spread. Second worst in the NBA. Only the Charlotte Hornets have a worse record against the spread on 2 or 3 days rest. So the Suns haven't done well when rested. Betting trends on the Philly side, Sixers 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 on the road, 8-9 against the spread as road dogs. On the Phoenix side, this is ugly, man. Suns 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 overall, 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 at home, 12-17 against the spread on the year as home favorites. This particular head-to-head matchup, though, has been all Phoenix. Philadelphia just 2-6-1 against the spread in their last 9 against the Suns, 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 trips out to Phoenix. Philly has definitely been trending towards unders here. 0-6 to the under in their last 6, 1-5 to the under in their last 6 on the road. Phoenix is actually 3-1 to the over in their last 4, but they're 2-11 to the under in their last 13 at home. So the Suns at under for the Suns at home has been money. This particular head-to-head matchup, 1-3 to the under in their last 4 meetings, 6-2 to the over in their last 8 meetings in Phoenix. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with some net efficiency numbers here. These two teams have been pretty even in the last 10 games. 18th in efficiency for the Suns, 21st for Philly. That being said, look at the strength of schedule numbers here. Suns are first in the last 10 games, Philadelphia 22nd. So yeah, maybe on paper they've been even, but in the last 10 games, the Suns have played a much stronger schedule. I also want to point out the pace numbers here before we switch the graphic up. Philadelphia in the last 10 games, 29th in pace. They are running slow. Phoenix on the season, 7-10-1 against the spread against the bottom 10 in pace. They haven't done well against these teams that run slow pace. Let's start with the matchup for Philly's offense, and edge definitely goes to the Suns defense on this side. I mean, in the last 10 games, EFG 12th to 27th, and that's with the much stronger schedule for Phoenix. Philly does have the turnover advantage, and that could be huge here. In the last 10 games, Philly's 10th in creating turnovers. Phoenix dead last in protecting the ball. I know that doesn't seem like such a crazy angle, the turnover numbers for the offense, right? 10th to 30th. So what? The Suns aren't going to be able to create turnovers, whatever. Well, actually, on the season, Phoenix is just 4-14-2 against the spread against top 10 offenses in turnover rate. So these offenses that protect the basketball have been a nightmare for the Suns. And I actually have another positive angle for the Sixers offense here. You can see in the last 5 games, they're leaning much more on jump shooting. 11th in frequency from the long mid-range, 12th in frequency from above the break, 9th in frequency from the corner. That's great news because Phoenix has terrible defensive numbers against jump shooters. 24th and 14th, 28th and 24th, 26th and 25th against those 3 zones, which is all jump shooting zones. So on paper, Sixers might be able to give the Suns defense problems. On the other side of the court, we got Phoenix offense. And if you're looking at these numbers, it may not look like a mismatch here, but it is. These are numbers from the last 10 games, and the Suns have played a much stronger schedule. Look at the offensive rebounding numbers, 7th to 27th. Phoenix should have plenty of opportunities as far as second chance points. That being said, Suns haven't really taken advantage of these types of matchups. On the season, the Suns are just 5-16-1 against the spread against bottom 10 defensive rebounding teams. So I don't know if we could even take that angle into consideration. And look at the turnover numbers. Again, the turnover numbers bad for Phoenix. Philadelphia's defense 3rd in the last 10 games at creating turnovers. Phoenix struggling to protect the ball on the season. Suns are just 3-9 against the spread against top 5 defenses and forced turnover rate. So I got positive angles for Philly left and right here. And when we pull up shot zones, it gets even worse for the Suns offense here. In the last 10 games, they're first in both frequency and efficiency from the long mid-range shot. We know they take a ton of those. Unfortunately, Philadelphia's got excellent defensive numbers against those shots. In the last 10 games, 9th in frequency, 2nd in efficiency. They've been excellent against the mid-range shot. Phoenix just 5-9 against the spread against top 10 defenses against the mid-range shot. So another positive angle for Philly. I bet it. I took the Sixers +9. I didn't bet it that heavy, though, because Phoenix is so due. They played such a strong schedule, and now they're at home in a very winnable game. That being said, I mean, we saw them at home against the Raptors. They only won by 7. At home against the Rockets, they lost. At home against the Rockets again, they won only by 5. I mean, Phoenix just hasn't shown us they can win by margin, or we can count on them to do that. So I'm in on Philly. I got it at +9 on FanDuel. Next game. Clips are on the road in Portland. We got the Blazers catching 11 points at home. Total sitting at 215.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see a 2-point Clippers win. Final score 112-110 Clips. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with the Clippers here. Terrence Mann on the report. He's listed as questionable. So is Norman Powell listed as questionable as well. Russell Westbrook still out for the Clips. On the Portland side, we got Brogdon still out. Sharp still out. Grant is listed as doubtful, so most likely no Grant in this one. Tybal's on the report as well. He's listed as questionable. I actually don't have anything for this game. I didn't get a chance to get to it. I'll take a look at it in the morning, and we'll talk about it on the live show. Speaking of which, live show, 4 p.m. Eastern time. I got Ski coming on. I think we got another guest coming on, too. I'll let you know on that. So that's 4 p.m. Eastern time. Make our final decisions, all that like we always do. College basketball March Madness live stream is 10:30 a.m. on Thursday. We'll go through all of our bets against the spread for that first day of March Madness. Always a fun day. So that's in the morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. If you make it to that, love to see you in the comments. If you want my top bets, I've already posted 2 overnight bets for today. So if you want my top bets or you want to join our Discord, head over to KyleKirms.com. They're posted right on there. Let's have ourselves a great Wednesday. Coming off a profitable Tuesday, I'll take it. Be sure to pick your spots and bet responsibly. I'll talk to you in the Discord.